Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Happy day 1225 of What's She Up To Now. She, of course, stands for Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. Named this segment of my journaling. It started out as a podcast and then, it didn't start out as a podcast. It started out as just documenting my journey in writing in books. I have always surrounded myself with lots and lots of notebooks, and I keep track of what I'm doing as I'm growing my businesses, both offline and online. I spent about 47 years, probably more than that now. If I add to my annual participation in my life, it's probably closer to 48. Building and being involved in a lot of different businesses, a lot of different industries, at least 27. I need to count and add up the online things now, because that was just the offline world, the brick and mortar corporate world. Over a quarter century in corporate America, I got to work for some of the coolest companies on the planet, and had some really amazing experiences, some good, some bad, some ugly. I think that's what happens when we have a long career, or a long time that we do anything. We don't have all good experiences or all bad experiences. We have a mix of each. And the good and the bad are what define how good and how bad we decide that our life has been or our experiences have been. I guess it depends on the person, right? Some people would look at my life and say, oh my God, you have done so many crazy things, that's unbelievable. And other people would look at my life and say, well, yeah, you haven't really done squat. And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It only matters what we think about our life. Today I want to talk a little bit about taking things one day at a time, and what one day at a time means, and why that's so important. And people will talk about and discuss have the importance of having a balanced life, and based on what our beliefs are, we will have different emotional reactions to things like a balanced life. I personally think a balanced life is complete and utter BS. I think it's nonsense. I think that we very seldom have times in our life when we're balanced, and that depends on how you define balance. To me, balanced is I am clicking along in all four cylinders in all areas and aspects of my life. Now, has that ever happened? Sure, a couple of times in my life for maybe a day or two, but for the most part, no. Something is always out of whack or out of balance, or one area or aspect of my life requires more attention than another area or aspect of my life. When my kids were little, family and relationships required more attention than they do now. And although that's not really true either. I'm hanging out with my granddaughters this summer, so that's not true. Family is again, during the last few months during the school year when my granddaughter was in kindergarten, I wasn't seeing her every day and hanging out with her, 5 days a week. So relationships went down a little bit in terms of priorities for me, and work and finances and emotional and spiritual development and communication and contribution and confidence and things took a little bit higher priority, and I spent more of my time on those things. So there's all these areas and aspects of our life, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, and this year I've added communication and confidence, because I think they are foundational things that I am working on so that I can help other people, the people that I work with, to work on those things as well, because those are things that if we improve our communication skills, if we improve our confidence, they automatically positively impact, if we're improving them, of course, all the other areas and aspects of our life. If I have better ways and I'm more confident, I'm more likely to work out and take care of myself, pick and make good food choices, have more energy. If my communication skills are better, if I can get my message across, if I can explain to the people that I love and care about what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do, and why I'm trying to do it, then our relationships will be enhanced. So taking things one day at a time. For a long time now, I've taken my goals, my big lifelong legacy goals, and I've set goals for for most of my life. My dad taught my sisters and I when we were little girls to go for what we want, to set goals, how to set goals, to write them down. He right before he died, I remember him telling all of our kids, write down your goals, write down your goals, write down your goals, because he knew how important that was. Now, he didn't know he was going to die then, but for some reason he had this, he was compelled to tell the kids and remind the kids the importance of going for what they want in life and writing their goals down. Now today, for Supersize Your Business, our idiom, our expression was to take it one day at a time. And I pretty much like to think that I do that I break things down and I try to do something every single day that's moving me toward my big goals and my big objectives. No, not every day. I don't do things every day anymore. Some things I do and I won't miss them. They're non-negotiable. I'm doing them no matter what. And other things I, cut myself some slack on, and I'm negotiable on those. I like to think that I eat healthy, but I will admit that during COVID, I let a lot of negotiable things into my life again. Things like, sea salt caramels. I like my sea salt caramel a day. Coffee, and things that I know are maybe not the best for me or most excellent for me, but we make excuses all the time for why we let ourselves off the hook. That's why it's important to break things down into little bite-sized pieces and do them one day at a time, one thing at a time. Because we're not ever going to be perfect, right? We're human beings. There's going to be some days that we're better than others. Better is always defined by us, right? Whether I eat sea salt caramels or not, whether I exercise or not every day, the only person it really, really matters to is me. I can make excuses for why I do or do not do things, and a lot of people will buy into that. A lot of people believe. How many times have you told people you're busy? Oh, I'm too busy, I haven't gotten to that yet. Or, oh, I just don't have the time. Well, guess what? We all have the same 24 hours in every single day. What I'm really saying, if I'm being 100% honest with myself, is that, hey, I didn't make that a priority today. It doesn't mean that you're not a priority. It doesn't mean that it's not a priority. I just didn't prioritize that higher than other things that I chose to spend my time on. Maybe I chose to read a book. Maybe I chose to go for a walk outside in nature. Maybe I chose to hang out with my granddaughters. Maybe I chose to hang out with my kids. Maybe I chose to go shopping. Remember when we used to be able to just hop in the car and go shopping? Those days are coming back. I guarantee those days are coming back. Believe me, our world will settle into the way it should be. I think that the pendulum always swings in everything, and right now we're in a pendulum that's swinging a little bit in the direction that many of us are just shaking our heads at, but we know that everything will be righted. It all will come back to normal. People will continue to be intelligent, amazing human beings and think for themselves. You can brainwash some of the people some of the time, but you cannot brainwash all of the people all of the time. I like to think that. So we take things one day at a time. Now, I thought it was interesting that I could not find exactly where this phrase or idiom came from. Some people said it was from Abe Lincoln. Other sources said it was Aristotle, but nobody credited anyone with it. Alcoholics Anonymous was the most recent, not accreditation, but place that it came from, because in their philosophies and teachings, it's, hey, we take it one day at a time. We take our sobriety one day at a time. Each day we decide to not drink, to be sober, to stay sober, to enjoy our life, to be present in our life. And I think that's true of all of us in anything that we do, the choices we make, the person that we become. We decide one day at a time how we're going to show up in the world, who we're going to be, and if we're going to grow and develop and change and continuously improve, or if we're just going to stay the same today, or if we're going to regress today and we're going to go back to some of the habits and some of the things that we've done in the past that served us to keep us safe. And we do that one day at a time. Every single day above ground is an awesome day, and none of us are guaranteed anything more than the present moment that we're in right now, which is why we can only act and make decisions and choices and do things right now. So often we spend so much of our time reliving or commiserating or feeling bad or guilty or worried about the past, or doubtful, worried, anxious about the future. We forget to live right now in the only moment that we can, which is today. So I want to invite you and encourage you to make the most of today. No matter what happens, no matter what comes your way, find the blessing, find the gift in today, and smile at somebody, share that with somebody else, appreciate the people that are in your life. So often we're running through our lives. I spent decades running through my life. I always say, like a chicken with my head cut off. And I usually have a chicken with my head cut off sitting around my work area to remind me of that. But I kind of stuck it in a basket and stuck it away, because I'm like, all right, that's how I used to live. But that's been a long time now. It was like over a decade ago since I've really, really lived like a chicken with my head cut off. Maybe less than a decade. And there are days when I still run around like a chicken with my head cut off, but they're fewer and fewer, and they're farther between now than they ever were before, because I am making a concerted effort to act now, live now, be in the present moment. Do what I can do today to ensure what it is that I want to create in the future for myself and for people around me, those I love and care about, and anybody else that I can positively impact. So take one day at a time was our idiom today. Loved it. Shared 15 ways to live one day at a time. If you want, you can go to my Supersize Your Business page, Supersize Your Business group. I share it in both places. It's on YouTube. It's all over the place. I'm not going to repeat those now. And our annual challenge this year is to do one thing every day that centers us, which is really a good one for me because I have a good core and foundation, I believe. I got that from my parents. But I don't think I'm necessarily always the most centered person. And so that's my area for continuous improvement this year, was to understand myself better, to get to know myself better. And I found this little journal book, which the title's wearing off, up at the cabin this last summer, a year ago now. Wow, crazy. And I picked it up and I said, okay, that's going to be my challenge for 2021. It's going to either be that or do one thing every day that is creative. Do a creative thing every day. Now, I love doing a creative thing every day, but 2021 hit and it was such a, I don't know for you, but for me it was just kind of like a slap in the face or a hit up alongside the head that said, guess what? 2020 and all the crap that happened with that, it's still here. It isn't gone. And so I knew that I needed something that would be beneficial to me and to other people by helping us to know that we control ourselves and our reaction to things. We have to be centered and know what's important for us, because stuff outside of us that we have no control over is going to happen around us and to us, for us and against us all the time. And it's up to us to be centered and focused enough in knowing who we are to decide how we're going to respond to those things and what we're going to do about it. Sometimes we're not going to do anything. We're just going to say, okay, well, that just happened. That was nuts. Not a thing I'm going to do about it. I'm just going to keep doing my thing and living my life. And I think that's one of the things that helped me personally to handle the whole COVID pandemic and all the craziness that's gone on with that, and not be frozen and afraid and paralyzed and not doing anything, was that, well, a lot of things, but I should probably do 25 things that helped me get through COVID or whatever. But focusing on and getting to know ourselves better and continuously improving and becoming the best version of ourselves is always going to be the best investment we can ever make. The best investment you ever make. And life coaches will tell you this as they're trying to sell you their $10,000 or $25,000 or $50,000 package or $2,000 package. The best investment you can make is in yourself. Well, the reason that works is because it's absolutely positively true. Whenever you're learning and studying and growing and becoming who it is that you want to become, that is always the absolute positive best investment you can make. Doesn't mean it's the investment in their program, but the investment in yourself, however you choose to do that, is always the best investment you can make. So doing one thing every day that centers us, that has been the best investment I can make in myself. Every year, this is year 4 actually, of doing an annual challenge. Started out to stretch my comfort zone and not be afraid to do videos, as a matter of fact. Was the first annual challenge I did. Do one thing every day that scares you. And then we did one thing every day that you love. And then we did last year, which was perfect for 2020, do one fun thing every day. And this year, do one thing every day that centers you. So I like to have not only a daily thing that I do every day and taking things one day at a time, but an annual challenge. So my annual challenge is to become more centered, actually become a better communicator and more confident, because I am working with some coaches in that area this year for my own personal development, as well as the development in the things I want to create in the world. So I added those things to my 7 key areas of life, which I learned, thank you, from Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and probably Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill and all the real leaders and the real developers of personal development, which is a whole other topic of discussion. I added confidence and communication to that because they are foundational things, just like our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, just like those, they are foundational. And again, how we manage those things in our life is what's important. And I say I do those things one day at a time, one little piece of them to go for my big goals in those areas one day at a time. Because if we break things down into little bite-sized pieces, we can eat that elephant. I know that's a weird saying. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. But it's so true. How do you accomplish any great thing? One task, one action item, one choice, one decision, one action at a time, right? So that was our centering challenge. Granddaughter coming today. My 7-year-old granddaughter and I are going to hang out this summer. And she's not 7, she's 6. She just turned 6. What am I saying? I sound like my niece. The day she turned 5, the day after she turned 5, she's like, I'm going to be 6. She said, I'm going to be 6. The day after she turned 5, which just makes her parents laugh. And I just made my granddaughter 7, and she just turned 6, like last week. So that's silly. Anyway, I'm hanging out with her this summer. Super excited, as well as my baby granddaughter, who was exactly 4 months yesterday. So that, in addition to all my other things, are going to keep me super busy. And that's why I'm excited about this idiom, because I know that I need to take things one day at a time in order to survive and get my energy up and be as good a grandma as I can possibly be. So if I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below. Going to be busy, but it doesn't mean I won't find you or help you answer that question. It doesn't mean I'll have the answer, but I guarantee that I know somebody or something that can get you to that next step, whatever it is for you. Because I remember when I first started online, one of my most frustrating things was I would hit a wall and I would Google and I would look and I would ask and I would research, but I wouldn't ask anybody else, hey, what did you do in this situation? And it wasn't until I learned to ask questions and ask for help that the answers would appear to me. So I want to make sure that I'm always that resource for people that need it, that they're afraid to ask, they don't really know who to ask. And again, like I said, I might not be the answer or the resource, but a pretty awesome network of people and tools and things that can help all of us to continue to move in the direction we want to move. That is it. Have an awesome day. I will be with you tomorrow. Again, just take things one day at a time, and no matter what comes your way, the universe is here to support us and protect us, believe it or not. And as long as you believe it, it'll be true for you. All right, have a great day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.